Welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. Tonight is a little different than usual because it deals with the supernatural, which may or may not be the case, but I was just thinking and coming up with my own theories about specific things and thinking about my experiences in my childhood and came to a few strange conclusions. And to try to make this make sense, think of it like the movie by Stephen King called Carrie, if you ever saw that. And it was remade later with other people playing Sissy Spacek. But the point in that movie was Carrie had these powers, but she didn't know she had these powers, and they manifested themselves at various times of stress or anger, and eventually she cultivated them. Well, I was thinking about these cluster B monster people, and was thinking that maybe in the whole scheme of things, they actually serve a purpose, which I don't think is an intentional purpose, but nonetheless, it seems they do serve a purpose. Because I look at myself when I was a child, and I had a mother and a father with like dichotomous views. For example, mother would be like cynical about everything. Father would be like compliant with everything and would believe everything that was on the TV. If it's on TV, it's true. Now, of course, the mother, she was different, which I'm guessing she passed a gift on to me. I don't think it's a witchcraft gift. I just think it was an awareness or something and she was like laying it all out there for it. I'll just give you one example to explain what I mean. When I was like 20-something, I used to hang out with this lady. We used to go out to this nightclub on the weekends together, and eventually she found herself pregnant. And no, it was not mine. But I had lots of fun telling my dad, yeah, it's my daughter. But anyway, we used to go out like every Saturday night. Well, after she had this baby, I was like, oh, come on, let's go out. Are you ready? Let's go. And she would say things like, I don't think I can go. Because she was a single mother. She didn't have a husband. So she would be like, I shouldn't go out because if something happens to me, then my daughter is going to be all on her own. Well, I was at home back then living, and I just turned to my mother and I said, I guess we're not going out tonight. Yeah, because she said that, well, she's got a daughter now, and she doesn't want to risk anything happening, so the daughter will be, like, on her own. And my mother was saying something like, oh, she should go out. All that child's going to do is grow up and turn on her. She might as well go out. So that's just an example of the type of influence I got from her. So maybe that's why I turned out the way I did, whatever that means. But because when I was a kid, I was always questioning everything. Because I don't know if it was just something halfway in the genes from her, but like when I would, people would talk about the Earth being a ball, and I would like travel places and fly in planes, and I'd think, oh, I don't see the ball, I don't see us curving, and I'd be like, are you sure the Earth is a ball? And then voting. I'd see people going to vote, and I would think, how do you know that what you put in that ballot's really what gets tabulated or calculated? And like taxes. When I'd be told, oh, we have to pay our taxes, I'd say, why are you paying tax? What's that for? I would question it all, and I'd get answers, of course. Well, the taxes are so the streets are paid for, and so the this is paid for, and I think, whatever. But it just all felt phony to me. And then the other thing was the church. When we go to church on Sunday, and they teach us, this is the way the world was. This happened in the beginning, and that happened later, and da-da-da. And I would hear that, but then in my social circles as a kid, would hear, oh, oh, she's from a different religion. They believe that blah, blah, blah happened. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. Ours teaches us that la, la, la happened. And I would just be saying, I had this ability, I guess, I was a skeptic as a kid because I would like branch out of my entire existence and just step back and think, okay, wait a second here. We're both talking about the origin of this world, and I'm now interpreting that I've been taught this way, and then this person's telling me it's a different way. And my view, logically, was, well, it can't be two different ways. So I was like a critical thinker, like saying to my parents, like, yeah, that story we heard in church, that's not the way the earth came about. The earth came about. I heard from another girl that it came about this way, and it was just, I guess I was a difficult kid because I didn't like the idea of being spoon-fed something and then just taking it as fact. But that's a video coming up, so we'll stick to the subject. But anyway, from the mother side of the family, maybe I inherited it, maybe I just picked it up or whatever, but what ended up happening was throughout the years of my life, which has gone over several decades, I found myself experiencing the same things over and over so much to the point that I would like memorize certain lines that this one said, and this one said, and this one said, and I would think, is this a joke? Am I in some kind, is this candid camera? Because these people are all saying the same things, but, well, I was fooled for many years in one piece, but I think that was kind of like the telekinesis that was like there, but it was suppressed, but then eventually it exploded like Carrie, and then after that, it was a whole different story. So I became hypersensitive to evil cluster B traits because I'd seen so many. I had been pre-informed about how evil these people in this world can be, which I, underneath it all, hoped that they weren't, but at the same time I was ready in case they were. Well, guess what? And then I was a kid listening to all this music, hearing all these relationship stories about evil people, and I was thinking, I wonder how that would feel to be in that situation. And then later I started experiencing every single one of them in pop music. But the point of this video tonight is to share information and also explain why, as you've heard in several previous videos, if you watched, when I tell you not to address things, because in my normal, regular, everyday life, if there's a problem somewhere, I've always known, well, the answer for that's communication. But when you're dealing with cluster B, it's an entirely different story, which I did not know. So I'm here to share with you so you can at least, hopefully, prevent some of the same things that I did in error. But what it is I achieved a higher level of awareness. I have witchcraft powers from unknown sources, evidently, because after my fiasco, after the deal with all those years, over a decade, it seemed like I had this brand new awareness. And I would like just hang out with some new person just for a little while, and I would not even spend a lot of time even thinking about it, but the person would talk to me and say something and claim something, and it wasn't a voice in the head. It was a feeling, like an intuition. Like I'd be standing there and I'd hear him say whatever he said, and I would just think to myself, what he just said is not what really happened. Now, I don't know where it came from because I didn't really have any reason to doubt what he said, but for some reason, some thought came in, which of course could be a sign of mental illness and delusions. So I kept it to myself. But then, of course, that was one scenario. Then there was another scenario later where another person came along and said some kind of claim just like the other, and I got the same feeling, like that person did not tell the truth. That was fake. But again, kept it quiet because you don't want to be hauled off into a straitjacket But there was the third one as well. And basically the same thing was repeating, and the same result later. Later, we found out that the first one, the second one, the third one, every single one of them was guilty of exactly what I thought. Like when they'd say something like, oh, well, I did this and did this and did this, there was like a scrambling in the head that said, that's a cover story for this, this, this. Well, at first I would just keep that to myself, but eventually I actually found out that like every single one of those suspicions turned out to be accurate. So I was like developing the carry power, thinking that I've got a gift. But the problem is, if you have this gift, it does not work to share that with the cluster B. If there's a problem, well, yes, you sit down and talk, but with these people, no way. Because after the powers that be rose inside my system, a later person I got involved with would do the same thing, make some claim, and the BS meters in my head would be like going off, and I kind of got sick of it because it's like, you know what, every single person I meet is giving me lines of crap. So at this point, I finally started to do what you're not supposed to do, and this is why. I would be like, that's not what you did last night. I can tell. I know that you did blah, blah, blah. Which, again, a year later, it turned out that is exactly what happened, because ESP, whatever. But for the moment, it was abuse of, that's not what happened. I told you what happened. That's not what, and that's the kind of crap I would get. And, of course, it's a sickening way to live to have to wait a year to have your intuitions be proven accurate. And of course, when they are proven accurate, then it's a whole different, oh, well, so what, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but anyway, that's the deal here, is that these people are twisted and think that they're right about everything. So even if you did see them do something they said they didn't do, the best thing is to make a mental note of it and proceed with caution and decide what you want to do. Because clearly with this type of person, you can't sit them down. And that's the problem I had, is because in all my prior life experience, any time there was any kind of conflict with anybody, all I would do is say, well, communication, and have a seat and discuss it. Here's my side. Give me your side. Let's come to something. That does not work with the cluster B. They are retarded. They are in the fantasy world where you can be a vegetarian today, have a hamburger of beef tomorrow, and be a vegetarian still, and so on. So they serve a purpose. I don't know if they're to blame for my awareness, or it's the mother, or both. But the point of it was that when you get that level of awareness, if you are fortunate or unfortunate enough to be around enough of them, bite your tongue and just observe and proceed accordingly. That's just advice, because I did not follow it, and there was all kinds of 5-hour-long discussions with nothing resolved at all, and it's just not worth it. You can't fix it. It's fake and it's retarded. And we're tempted to believe the initial love bombing version was real, so then we think we can like reach back to that person and bring some sense of sense to that person, but that person never existed. So keep that in mind and stay strong and be happy.
We can't help that we're beautiful, but still, come on now.